Hello, this is a quick guide on how to use the Genshin optimizer. You start off by, once you open the website, you come to the scanners tab and pick a scanner. Me personally, I prefer Erminsol, it's the quickest one. You just click download, follow the instructions. Once you've scanned and copied your data, come here, upload, paste it in here. And as you can see, you get your artifacts, your weapons, your characters. You then come here, teams, add a team. You can name it if you'd like, your choice. We'll go with Nuffer. You can also quick setup, so you could just quickly select multiple characters. Sucrose and the optimizer does not optimize every single character at the same time. So it is up to you to decide what sets they're going to be using and what buffs are active, right? The optimizer does not like activate these buffs for you. So you need to know what buffs are actually happening in your team. For example, is this team swirling pyro? Of course not. So you would not select this. So we select the things that will happen in the team. For example, in this team with Llama, Deepwood would be active. Her skill will hit. Her burst will be active. Her skill will hit. This is the passive. And this is, I have C2. You won't see this, but this is a C2. So I also activate this. And you do the same thing for every single character. To optimize, some are much easier, such as Llama or even Sucrose, right? You make sure you're on the correct weapon first, and then you come over here, optimize, and Sucrose only cares about EM in this team, so it's very easy. You just click EM, generate. But before that, you do have to set, if you just do that, but if you just, normally this is how it would look. So if you just press this, if you just did EM and generate builds, you'll get something like this. This is not what you want though, right? You want to run instructor on Sucrose in this team. So to do that, you would unselect everything, come down to instructor, make it would be unselected, so you'd select this, come up, or you can just click outside, and then you could generate. And as you can see, we now get instructor. So then we can equip it. Of course, it's already equipped right now, but and there you go. And you just do the same thing for the more basic characters. Same thing with Llama. You cannot select multiple, so to get around that, you could just add a constraint right here. Click on either EM or ER. I personally just did a bare minimum of 180 ER. You could do a bit more or less depending on your team. And then EM, that's all she cares about. And you do the same thing with the artifact set. She only cares about Deepwood in this team. Of course, if you had Nahida, it would be different, but so then as you can see, 183 ER, a bunch of EM. So then we equip this, and there we go. Now for more complicated characters like Columbina, where she has multiple things such as crit, HP, ER, even EM in some cases, it's better to have multiple constraints. And also, for example, this 85%, you think, oh well, plus the 15% from her passive, correct? Well, this already takes this into account. So remember, so if we come down here, after we've generated our build, you can hover over, and as you can see, the 3 times 5, that's from her passive. So it's already taking into account the crit rate from here. So if you want 100% crit rate, you should put 100%. Of course, you should play around to see what values is best for you. For me, and then there's also some things that just don't show up here, such as Llama's buff in Ascendance Gleam, the 10% crit rate from here, the Lunar Bloom. It doesn't show up because it doesn't apply to all damage, meaning whenever Columbina is lunar blooming or using Llama's quills, which is a majority of her damage, you are already over critting. That means you're losing out on 13.4% crit rate here. So that's something you have to just know and be mindful of. So that's why I went with 85, because after playing around, I saw that my most damage was at 85. Of course, it varies depending on your artifacts. So just play around with it. If you would like to see the crit rate, you could just come down here, see what buffs they're getting. As you can see, Lunar Bloom crit rate 10%. It shows here, but doesn't show in her direct stats when you click on her. It doesn't show here. Once you have all the characters set up, you then, or your support set up, then you move on to your main DPS. Make sure they're on the correct weapon. Make sure everything about the weapon is activated. Maybe you're on Sack Frag. Of course, it's not a good weapon for her, but maybe you are. Make sure it's activated. So go back to this weapon. Come here. Make sure every talent is activated, because normally it would be not active. It says 5 stacks. That's because of C2. If you're C0, right? If you're C0, it'll say 3 stacks. I think. Yeah. But so it already takes into account your constellations. Come here. Talents. 5 stacks. Come to optimize. And of course, we don't want any sets other than Night Sky. So we come here, make sure it's activated. And then in this case, we have multiple things that we want to optimize for. For the main DPS, it's usually better to have a multi-optimization target. To find, you can either create your own, right? You can either come here. So maybe you say, okay, I get like 3, I don't know. I burst 1 time every single time. So this is 1 burst, because the burst hits 2 times. So you can add that, and then it'll optimize for that. Me personally, I'm not very good at it. So what I'd like to do is come to either like Akasha. You can like search up characters. Akasha's Discord, and they'll have some um optimizations. Or you can even go to like other servers. Maybe your own server will have one, such as 7 server. There's one here, so we can come here, and then we copy this, import, paste, and as you can see, it's all right here. So once you have the custom multi-target, you can then click on it, generate builds, and then it'll generate the build for you. And this will account for everything. This will account for your burst, your elemental skill, and mainly just anything that you put into it, right? So you can even optimize for random stuff if you really want, like version damage or bloom damage, but that's not what you want. You can also get more technical about it, such as buffs or nerfs based off of uptime. And that's what Akasha does, or Akasha's optimizations do. If you look at this other team, you can see that in this case they take into account the buff uptime and how much of a buff do you have active. For example, like the burst will have a lot of buffs and the enemy will have negative res. But then if we look at the last hit, as you can see, we lose the crit rate, we lose the EM, it's not here anymore. So it can also give you a more accurate build. But it's not too big of a deal. And yeah, and there you go. And then once you have it, you could then equip it and then put it on your character in game.